Hello again, friends. Welcome to my 4th year on YouTube. I was counting on the anniversary of posting my first story, Snow White, but then I got lazy and just decided I would start on the new year. So really, year 4 started in October, but let's not quibble. To celebrate a full 3 years of not quitting, I just Googled rare fairy tales and picked the first one. Is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. I only know it's a Welsh fairy tale because it came from a book of Welsh fairy tales. So, let the mispronunciations begin! Join us as we read How the Cymry Land Became Inhabited. In all Britain today, no wolf roams wild, and the deer are all tame. Yet in the early ages, when human beings had not yet come into the land, the swamps and forests were full of very savage animals. There were bears and wolves by the thousands, besides lions and the woolly rhinoceros, tigers with terrible teeth like sabers. I really find that hard to believe, but okay. I wonder what a woolly rhinoceros would look like.
He's so fluffy, I'm gonna die!
Beavers built their dams over little rivers, and great horned oxen were very common. Then the mountains were higher, and the woods denser. Many of the animals lived in caves, and there were billions of bees and a great many butterflies. In the bogs were ferns of giant size, amid which terrible monsters hid that were always ready for a fight or a frolic. In so beautiful a land, it seemed a pity that there were no men and women, no boys or girls, and no babies. Yeah, I'm actually okay with that.
Are babies supposed to be a separate species?
Yeah, I mean, clearly. Have you met one?
No, and I don't want to.
Yet the noble race of the Cymry, whom we call the Welsh, were already in Europe, and lived in the summer land in the south. A great benefactor was born among them, who grew up to be wonderfully wise man, and taught his people the use of bows and arrows. He made laws by which different tribes stopped their continual fighting and quarrels, and united for the common good of all. He persuaded them to take family names. He invented the plow and showed them how to use it, making furrows in which to plant grain. Yep, this is clearly a fairy tale. When the people found that they could get things to eat right out of the ground from the seeds they had planted, their children were wild with joy. No people ever loved babies more than these Cymry folk.
Less starving!
True. No people ever loved babies more than these Cymry folk, and it was they who invented the cradle. This saved many hard-working mothers, many a burden, for each woman had, besides rearing the children, to work for and wait on her husband. He was the warrior and hunter, and she did most of the labor. Yeah, I got that right. In both the house and the field. When there were many little brats to look after, a cradle was a real help in those days. Brat was the general name for little folks. I'm becoming suspicious of this story. There were good laws about women, especially for their protection. Any rough or brutish fellow was fined heavily or publicly punished for striking one of them. By and by, this great benefactor encouraged his people to the brave adventure, and led them in crossing the sea to Britain. Men had not yet learned to build boats with prow or stern, with keels and masts, or with sails, rudders, or oars, or much less to put engines in their bowels, or iron chimneys for smokestacks, by which we see the mighty ships driven across the ocean without regard to wind or tide.
Wait a minute.
All right, when was this story written? 1921! Got it. This is more than a fairy tale. This is a complete and utter fallacy. All right, let's keep reading and see how much we learn to hate the author, William Elliot Griffiths. The great benefactor taught his people to make coracles. On these, the whole tribes of thousands of Cymry folk crossed over into the Britain, landing in Cornwall. The old name of this shire meant the Horn of Galia, or Walia, as the new land was later named. We think of Cornwall as the big toe of the motherland. These first comers called it a horn. It was a funny sight to see these coracles, which they named after their own round bodies. The men went down to the riverside or the seashore, and with their stone hatchets they chopped down trees.
Deforestation!
They cut the reeds and osiers, peeled the willow branches, and wove great baskets shaped like bowls. In this work, the women helped the men. Okay, no, seriously. Who is this Griffiths guy? Google? Right. I take it back. It's not a Welsh tale. It's a bunch of nonsense written by an American who spent a lot of time in Japan and the Netherlands, who may have visited Wales at some point just to steal their story ideas. The coracle was made strong by a wooden frame fixed inside round the edge, and by 2 crossboards, which also served as seats. Then they turned the wicker frame upside down and stretched the hides of animals over the whole frame and bottom. With pitch, gum, or grease, they covered up the cracks or seams. Then they shaped paddles out of wood. When the coracle floated on the water, the whole family, Daddy, Mammy, kiddies, and any old aunts or uncles or granddaddies got into it. No grandmammies?
What about cousins?
Or young aunts and uncles?
Sorry, they gotta stay.
It's kind of like Noah's Ark, yeah. Everybody on, except you guys. They waited for the wind to blow for the south over to the northern land. At first, the coracle spun round and round, but by and by each daddy could, by rowing or paddling, make the thing go straight ahead. So finally all arrived in the land now called Britain. All right, look. Humans have been in Wales since around 9000 BC, so this is ridiculous. If this guy put a bunch of people in boats and sailed to the British Isles, he would have been greeted by all the people already living there.
No. According to the start of the story, nobody was living there.
Yeah, I don't believe him. Though sugar was not then known, or for 1,000 years later, the first thing they noticed was the enormous number of bees. When they searched, they found the rock caves and hollow trees full of honey, which had accumulated for generations. Each once in a while, the bears, that so like sweet things, found out the hiding place of the bees and ate up the honey.
That's not how bees work. Honey is nutrients for them and their larvae. They're gonna eat it. They don't just stockpile it.
No, and I don't think it would stockpile for years anyway. The children were very happy in sucking the honeycomb, and the mothers made candles out of the beeswax.
As they eat the bees.
The newcomers named the country Honey Island. The brave Cymry men had battles with the darker kin... Right. Nope, I can't take any more of this. All right, you know what? I am finding a real Welsh fairy tale.
Hold on.
What?
Considering the location of Britain, they wouldn't actually be dark-skinned unless they had just gotten there.
This is why I'm giving up on this story.
There are so many things wrong with this story.
This Griffiths guy is... Yeah, no. Nope. We are moving on. Let's see. Found one. Okay. A real Welsh fairy tale. Old Caddy was a baby farmer.
What?
What's that? There's a baby farmer.
A farmer who grows babies?
Are babies vegetables?
Not that I can think of.
Barber.
Well, you plant the baby's feet first. I don't know. I'm gonna just keep reading. Hold on. Old Caddy was a baby farmer.
What is that?
And one day she went to the woods to gather sticks for her fire. And while she...
Babies?
What?
To cook babies?
Just move on from the baby farmer bit. Just move on. And while she was gathering the sticks, she found a piece of gold and took it home. But she never told anyone she had found the money, for she always pretended to be very poor.
Oh, like influencers.
But though she was so poor, she used to dress 2 of her children in fine clothes. But the others, whom she did not like, she kept in the filthiest rags.
Well, to be fair, she probably has like 30 of them, being a baby farmer and all.
I'm moving on from that.
I'm not letting it go.
One day, a man knocked at her door and asked to see the children.
Which ones?
He sat down in her little room, and she went and brought the ragged little boy and girl, saying she was very poor and couldn't afford to dress them better, for she had been careful to hide the well-dressed little boy and girl in the cockloft.
And the 30 other children?
After the stranger had gone, she went to the cockloft to look for her well-dressed favorites. But they had disappeared, and they were never seen afterwards, for they were turned into fairies.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
Well, there's that then.
That's it?
Yeah, that's the whole story.
Seriously?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, that was, yes, that was. Well, I guess it's time that we end this madness and ask for suggestions for next week, because clearly
Baby farmer!
I suck at choosing stories. It's that time when I bring to your attention the little train at the bottom of the screen that reminds you of all the things that I don't want to remind you of anymore. Also, I would very much like to thank Pixabay, because without them, we would be a lot more boring. And I would like to thank you, because without you, we wouldn't be here at all. And now, for a special thank you for my Patreon friends.
Tell me what a baby farmer is!
And tell us what a baby farmer is in the comments.
Please!